from the Big Apple to the nation's capital. We're heading down the Eastern Conference standings here and now find ourselves in D.C. talking about these Washington Wizards. The headline coming out of this offseason is Bradley Beal's max extension, highly criticized in terms of, making this guy one of the highest paid players in the league, and really for what purpose. Definitely an elite scorer. Whether he should be in the conversation as kind of an all NBA guy all the time, and, can he really be your number one on a playoff team? I don't know. Whether Wizards had to do it versus just either, letting him walk, trying to do something a little less than max. It was a really tough situation, to be fair to them. Look, if they want to compete for now, see if they can build around him, kind of show loyalty both ways. Because that's the thing here is, we look at Bradley Beal and Dame Lillard, and we're thinking like, man, just get out of there. If you're actually going to want to win a title, you're going to have to leave. And yet we criticize, Kevin Durant for joining the Golden State Warriors to, help his chance of winning a ring, which he did do. We criticize teams for trading guys all the time who seem loyal and whatnot. So here we have loyalty, I guess, going both ways. Wizards agree to pay Beal. And Beal agrees to stay in Washington. Whether that will, help end the contract of Wizard, who knows, a lot can change in 5 years. But for now, Bradley Beal can expect him to be in a Wizards uniform for the time being. Also, bring in Monte Morris, Will Barton in exchange for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Ish Smith. I think Monte Morris actually will be asked to do more on this Wizards team than he was in Denver, even though he was filling in for Jamal Murray. With Jokic there, it's kind of offense revolves around him. Beal, it's a similar thing, but I think Morris will, have a little more time with the ball in his hands, maybe more opportunity to score and facilitate. Assuming he'll probably be the starting point guard. And then, they signed Delon Wrong to kind of fill in for Ish Smith. So definitely addressed an issue that they had last year in terms of having just kind of a true point guard, because kind of Beal took over that role post Dinwiddie trade. And that was fine, but that's not really what Beal excels at. So having a guy like Monte Morris in, I think, will help them a lot in general, just looking at offensively. And then, you're looking at the same kind of young core of, Denny. Kuzma's not really young, but we kind of see him as sort of young, but he's in like his mid to late 20s. Rui Hachimura and Corey Kispert. And, all those guys, you're like, fine, whether you package them all, could you get something for them? I don't know. There's been flashes, there's been health issues. None of them have really kind of earned a starting role necessarily. So not sure. We'll see kind of where their development goes long term. If any of them kind of takes control as like a third offensive option to, Beal and Kristaps, who, bringing in Porzingis, seeing how he kind of fits in after the second half of last season, giving him a full stretch. Can he stay healthy is obviously a huge question for him. And, the Dinwiddie-Bertans trade made sense in a lot of ways. Although Dinwiddie looked really good in the playoffs, I think for whatever reason he didn't gel with Beal. Bertans is on that tough, pretty overvalued long-term contract. So yeah, we'll take a flyer on Kristaps and see where it goes. Could he be an effective big in the league? Potentially. We've obviously seen flashes back to the New York Knicks days. It's really just a matter of if he can stay healthy and on the court. And can he offer, kind of the rim protection that he was known for, a few years back. Would love to see a kind of, can we call it vintage, even though he's still in his 20s, a vintage Kristaps for these Washington Wizards. And then the other piece here is Johnny Davis, drafted with the 10th overall pick. Didn't have a impressive shooting, numbers in Summer League. Summer League is Summer League. I don't think we can make any judgments until we see them on an actual NBA floor. But we'll give them another offensive option, and seems to be a plus defender. So hopefully he fits in nicely as maybe just a scorer on the second unit just to start, and see if as Monte Morris, maybe just a placeholder until Johnny Davis can reach kind of like that starter, fulfill that kind of role. And so now as we take stock of everything going on here, where do the Wizards end up in the East? Where would you even put the range? I feel like maybe if everyone's healthy, if Kristaps is a legitimate second star to Beal, I think this team's going to put up a lot of points. And, some of those younger guys can play defense. I don't know, peak maybe 6 seed in like an ideal world. But most likely, I think they'll end up somewhere in the play-in, 8 to 10, 7 to 10, something like that. But could see them very well ending up in the same spot here at the 11 if, an injury crops up, some weird locker room thing. Could have a lot of different things could happen. But hopefully, because, I think Washington could use a solid season. So rooting for them, but it's hard. Just we've gone through the East in terms of from last year, probably the top 8 teams look to be about in the top 8, and the Knicks looking on the outside with the Wizards, and then kind of below that we're still rebuilding. So Wizards and Knicks are looking to compete here. Whether they can actually crack the top 10 is going to be kind of a big story we'll all be keeping our eye on. Maybe not. I don't know if anyone's actually going to be keeping an eye on the Wizards cracking the top 10, but it will for them and Wizards fans. I think the expectation would be at least get into the play-in, but I could see it. I wouldn't be surprised, and would love to see it. I don't know if you would. I don't know where you see them ending up. Feel free to let me know, but that's it for me for now. Take care of yourselves. Take it easy, and I'll see you next time.